Well, hello there, little monsters, and welcome to the very first episode of House of Delusion, your new go-to podcast for all things Lady Gaga. I'm your host, Billy Bomber, and I'm absolutely thrilled to dive into the world of Gaga with you. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Cal. Cal is a fellow monster and an avid follower of Gaga. Welcome, Cal.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad to bring you here, and this is going to be a mess. I mean, this is called the House of Delusion, but we're going to go through this and see how it goes. So, yeah, no, thanks for doing this with me here.
Of course, if there were no delusion, then how could this be the House of Delusion? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, we're going to go crazy. I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so in this podcast, we'll be exploring the latest news, rumors, and fan theories about Gaga's upcoming 7th album, affectionately known as LG7. But before we get started, I want to give you a quick rundown of what to expect in this episode. Today we'll be talking about the latest rumors surrounding LG7, including some leaked songs and potential titles. We'll also be analyzing the official Dance in the Shadow teaser from the end of the Chromatica Ball film, and then sharing some interesting fan theories that have been making their rounds on the internet lately. So Cal, what do you think about that?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Cool. There's a lot to unpack here, and I'm sure all of our listeners are just as eager as we are. So, let's put on our clown makeup and dive into the latest delusions of Lady Gaga. Alrighty, Cal. So, first item on the agenda. What do we have here?
Well, we have essentially from November 2023 to February 2024, there was no solid news about LG7. However, there were numerous Instagram captions and comments and posts that Lady Gaga and the people around her, her coterie, were making, which could possibly be references to what we can expect the themes of the upcoming album to be.
Mm-hmm. And some of those that I remember were things such as the Black Heart, which has been prominent all throughout the teasing from kind of earlier this year, as well as kind of this purple, almost, I guess, Prince theme in a sense. And then there's also that Japanese Oni/ogre emoji that she used once.
Yes, the fans might not be familiar with that, but it looks like the devil, and people tend to use it as a devil emoji, but technically it's like this Japanese thing, which is slightly different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So kind of, I guess, leading down to a more, I guess, yeah, at that point, we didn't really know what to do with this information. And I mean, and now we kind of have some fan theories have been created, which we'll talk about later on there. But yeah, so back with this, I mean, what are your thoughts on those three kind of points there?
I mean, it's difficult to really say exactly where it's going, other than it seems very #Dirk, you know. But I mean, we'll see. Apparently, it's in the vault, guarded by a Japanese emoji, and she's taking pictures with a thing of Prince hanging on the wall in the background, and it's hints, right? And they may or may not actually be real hints because we're delusional, but we're grasping at whatever straws we can. That's our job.
Yep. Nope. You hit the nail on the coffin there. Is that the saying?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, and then I guess that's really where we were at back in the day there. Like, we didn't really know what to do with all that stuff. And we thought she was actually releasing like February.
Yes. Yes. We were really hoping it would have come earlier in the year. And there were all those supposed Twitter insiders that was like, oh, spring, of 2024, expect it, be ready. And of course, nothing happened because it's, everyone's a liar.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And I'm not going to name drop this insider from ATRL because I don't remember who it was exactly. But there was someone on there who said that she was coming in February. It ended up just being Fortnite stuff.
Yeah, I mean, she was coming home to her house after getting Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee at the nearest, coffee joint.
Yeah, I mean, that's the dream.
I mean, that's about it. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, and that was February. Then, yeah, Fortnite came and went. And then we were just kind of, she went on another software tour ball or something like that. No, it was pharmaceutical tour ball.
Yeah, whatever. Same difference.
Yeah, just another leg of her tour there for companies and stuff.
Yes, the Nerdtech ball.
The Nerd Ball. Yes, that is the official name. Sorry, my apologies.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't kind of all the end there. Even though Gaga wasn't saying anything herself, we still had some news from other people, starting with James King. So, Cal, would you mind kind of going into that a little bit?
Right, so I don't remember exactly what James King's job is, whether he's a producer or a writer or what. But he took a selfie with Gaga in his studio and posted it and said, they're working on the new album. Immediately afterward, he had to take it down, and people who were sharing this selfie and saying, "Oh my gosh, an album is coming, an album is coming," James King actually went into their inboxes and said, "Hey, stop it, please take it down. I got in trouble for this." So, I mean, that's definitely an indication that something was definitely cooking as early as February. It wasn't out for the masses, but someone got in trouble for sharing something. So that's the first real kind of clue that we had.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just emojis.
And then judging by her looks on Instagram and such, and the photos she was posting in the studio, they had lots of instrumentations out and such. So it seems like they were almost like working on producing. I mean, but I didn't analyze that myself too much. And didn't he also say, James King say, in his caption, he said something about this being one of the best records or I've ever had the privilege of helping with or something? Is he that same guy?
I don't recall, but that sounds like a generic enough thing to say for publicity purposes.
Yeah, so...
like ARTPOP is the album of the millennium kind of thing.
Oh, but it is. We can't deny that.
That Sorry, do you want me to have a bigger reaction?
I'll cut ARTPOP out like Gaga always does anyway.
I don't remember ARTPOP.
So Lady Gaga or her team made Mr. King delete his post, and then of course that made Little Monsters go into suspicion mode.
Absolutely, because we're not already there by default 24/7 anyway.
Yeah, it's a full-time job for at this point. I mean, we should all have degrees or at least even like PhDs or something.
Absolutely, and it's thankless. We don't even get paid. I mean, come on.
Jesus Christ. And like that leads us into the next thing too with Ozzy Osbourne. On actually March 22nd, he revealed that he has been waiting to work with producer Andrew Watt, who is is it still rumored executive producer, right?
I believe he's still mentioned to be involved in the project, yes.
Okay. Yeah, but Ozzy has been unable to since Watt has been working with Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga. I might keep that. No, but has been working.
Lady Gaga.
But Ozzy has been unable to basically get with Andrew Watt for his next project because, well, Andrew's been with Lady Gaga, working with on LG7, assumingly.
Yes, and Ozzy Osbourne said that directly, that Watt was with Lady Gaga. It's not our speculation. He literally said that.
Yeah, and that's where we were up until, I guess, Gaga Chromatica Ball premiered. Like, this was all just rumors and speculation, and then the tidbits of information that Gaga herself just shadow dropped on Instagram and through TikTok comments.
Yes, and we'll only really know how much was previewed, how much was hinting after the album is actually released, and we can go back and check.
Exactly. And then that leads us into May, which was, well, I guess the first real look at what we assumed to be the album and the lead single, the Dance in the Shadow snippet.
Right, so the Dance in the Shadow snippet may or may not be the lead single for the era. We're assuming it probably will be just because it's the first song previewed, right? Mm-hmm. And we didn't really get a whole lot from the Dance in the Shadow snippet. It was at the very, very end of the Chromatica Ball tour film, and it was highly edited and integrated into the kind of outro to Hold My Hand, which was the encore song at the end of that concert. And we really only heard Dance in the Shadow of the... And then it just, that's all we really heard. Yes. We did see LG7 Gaga Returns soon, but Gaga is infamous for saying soon and then waiting eternity to actually do anything. So soon doesn't mean anything for people in this fan base.
Yep. That was a f***ing lie. Honestly, I think Dance in the Shadow, or whatever the song is going to be called, sounds incredible. It's that very dark pop, almost dancey. We can't quite tell yet. Assumedly, it's going to be because, I mean, Gaga is heavily implying that she's going for this darker, more back to her roots kind of late 2000s, early 2010s. Like, this is me. I'm big. I'm avant garde. I have big hair and wear big heels and yeah, all of this stuff. I wear crazy costumes. You know, I feel like she's coming back for that.
Or it even could be a revisiting of what's rumored to be the original LG5 concept, which was scratched and turned into Joanne, which has a contentious reception by her fan base,
Yep.
mostly because they don't really like Americana country inspired music. But we do remember some of the hints that were being given, before that concept was scratched, like Frankenstein or vampire and stuff like that. And so it might be more in line with that. We might be revisiting that. And so if it's anything like that, then I know a lot of little monsters will be excited.
It's interesting you also mentioned that because remember that tattoo she had, the Gaga one with the sorry, my lack of music theory here is showing, but with the scale, am I correct? With the GAGA note?
Yes, it's the staff.
Oh, the staff, sorry. Yes, that's the correct term there.
Yes, the staff is the lines. And she put GAGA if it was treble clef. Now, in the original tattoo, she forgot the treble clef. Um, so it could have also been, I think, like BC and bass clef.
Mm-hmm.
And so she had to go back to the tattoo parlor and get the treble clef for clarity's sake. But yeah, that would be, well, it was interesting that she got that tattoo when she did because we didn't really know exactly why she got that tattoo. Earlier on in her career, we always had a sense of why she would get her tattoos, or she would explain why she got certain tattoos. And for the Gaga tattoo, it seemed sort of random.
Yeah, and when was that? So was that 2015 or was that later?
I can look that up.
That's fine. And in the meantime, while you're looking that up there, I just wanted to talk about that whole entire bringing back the original LG5 experience, because from my memory during that time with the Red One sessions, Frankenstein, that was kind of how it feels now again, that Gaga finished ARTPOP and she did her jazz album with Tony, and we're like, okay, cool. You had a bad pop era from some people's perspectives, not all's, and then you did jazz, you did Sound of Music, and now it's time to go back to your roots. And that's what we all assumed. And then, of course, Joanne came out. A lot loved it, a lot hated it, and it was kind of divided. Of course, Gaga's success went up from there with Super Bowl and A Star Is Born and so on and so on. But it was just interesting how there's this whole entire missing concept that was heavily rumored through the build up to Joanne. And then Joanne turned out to be this more Americana rock inspired album.
Right, so I found the date of the supposed tattoo. It was on Valentine's Day 2019, so more recent.
2019, interesting.
Yeah, so she actually got it in the build up to the Chromatica album rollout.
And it just says Gaga, of course, which we know Gaga's Gaga. But that also is interesting because she has been showing kind of more of a switch to remove Lady from her name recently.
Or at least splitting the Lady from the Gaga and doing something more as a lady, for example, the Jazz and Piano Show in Las Vegas, versus Gaga. So when she did Love for Sale, which was her second jazz album with Tony Bennett, that was much more lady. And then with Chromatica, she went back to Gaga. I think her current strategy now is to sort of lead the sort of double career where she can have the critical reception that she wants and the acclamation from her peers as the more lady persona with more classic standards and that sort of thing, but also kind of tap back into her crazy, wacky, avant-garde roots as Gaga every now and then with an album that her fans are constantly thirsting for.
Yeah, no, actually, I agree with that and see that she's built this kind of adult contemporary fan base out there of people, an older generation of, well, all ages from the decades going beyond, but they obviously appreciate her and her talent. And for the most part, they said that in the past, they didn't agree with her crazy antics and looks, but they kind of grown comfortable with it. So it's kind of an exciting time where Gaga can kind of appease two different complete demographics while either doesn't hate the other one, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's funny we talked about that because I completely brought us so off stray from Dance in the Shadow. So apologies for that, but it was a little fun conversation about some potential LG5 stuff.
Yes, we're just, casually psychoanalyzing her.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not crazy at all. But anyways, so back to Gaga Chromatica Ball and Dance in the Shadow. Looking at that snippet, I have analyzed it myself a little bit and I've looked at other people's takes on it. There's some hidden lyrics in the very beginning of the snippet there where she says something along the lines of "the monsters around" or "there's monsters around," and then dancing in the shadow of the moon or night or whatever it's going to be.
Something. Yeah, I hear moon after that, but we don't really know until the actual song comes out. And as for the lyrics, which kind of fade in at the very beginning of the snippet, I personally don't hear around. But again, we don't really know until it's actually out, whenever that is.
Exactly. Yeah. The snippets are just way too, well, that one's pretty low quality because it is mixed with the footage of the film. But yeah, all these things are too low quality and purposefully probably edited. So we can't find too much.
Yes. All I can really say is that based on the notes of the snippet that we heard, it appears to be an F minor. But for any monster that's not like a musical person, that means nothing. So,
although I do like minors. Oh my god.
let's
oh my god, that's so bad out of context. I like songs in the minor key.
Right. I think we should actually keep that in the podcast just for laughs. The gays sure do like minors. Right. Okay.
Hey guys, Future Billy here. I'm just gonna skip forward and go to the next part here. You'll appreciate it, trust me. On May 31st, this is about a week after the Chromatica Ball and the snippet, in an interview with an artist named Christian, can you say that name for me, sorry?
Huygens,
like the physicist.
Well, it's Spanish. I don't know how you say his name in Spanish. But in English, you say Huygens. And in Dutch, you say Huygens. But he's not Dutch, and he's not English. So any Spanish-speaking little monsters out there want to say like Huygens or something is correct, then please let us know.
You seem like you know what you're talking about on this, so I'm going to let you continue on here. Basically, just continue on from where it was published in the magazine.
Right. I can do some accents. That's all that really means. So there was an article published in the Argentine magazine Revista Gente on May 31st. And in that interview, Christian Huygens accidentally divulged some potentially official information about the upcoming album. So he stated that he had worked on an art piece, namely the kind of car crash outfit that Gaga was wearing on the red carpet for the Chromatica Ball, Chromatica Ball film release. Let me be clear about that. But also he said he worked on something for Gaga for the album promotion and photo shoot for LG7. And he also said, most importantly for us fans, that an album is due for release in August. Now, soon after this hit the internet, Little Monsters found it, as they're wont to do. It spread like wildfire, and about 30 minutes after the article was first put up on the internet, the mention of the album in August was scrubbed. But we still have screen caps of the original version of that article.
And that's interesting because that brought us all into, suspicious detective mode.
Right, like something is really coming. The train is moving.
Yeah, imminently, like the train is about to arrive.
The train is rolling at least out of the station. We don't know when it's arriving because with this news, maybe Gaga could push it back or something else might happen in the interim, which could change the date. It's all very up in the air in this business. But we have something to delude ourselves about, and that's the point of the podcast. And so we have our fingers crossed, at least for an August release date for the album.
Which seems more likely because the next day after that interview with Christian and it was scrubbed, Lady Gaga's own father was on Fox News and he said that Gaga has just finished writing an album. So whether he means writing an album, thus implying recording, mixing, mastering not been done yet, or as the album is done, I don't know. He's her father. Maybe he just doesn't know much of the process.
Yeah, he's not a musician as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
Writing might simply mean the lyrics to all the songs have been finalized. They've kind of chosen the songs that they want to record or put on the album, and now they have to really like mix, master, do final touches, any kind of final edits, give the credits out to the appropriate people, send it to the label. That can take a while too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still progress, right?
We're getting tidbits of information. I don't know about the status of each song, though. But another thing that we can kind of maybe take a peek into this is about the girlfriend leak from June 7th, which was on a Friday. It didn't actually leak that day to the public. It leaked on a Brazilian pop music forum where they eventually just closed down kind of their little forum, or not forum there. They closed down the
thread.
The thread.
Right, because it was leaked, and then the moderators of that forum, as far as I know, I'm not a part of that forum, I'm not Brazilian, kind of made that thread private so only members of that forum could view it, just so that they could ascertain whether or not, there was any truth behind it before they really released it to the public and made a big hullabaloo about it.
Mm-hmm. And they were actually making a big deal about it, saying that, yeah, it's Lady Gaga, definitely. It sounds very official, and we got to hide this. And then over the weekend, of course, numerous people started creating fake snippets and posting them all over the internet. And then we ended up with this convoluted mess of these fake girlfriend snippets with things over the instrumentals to Marry the Night, and some of them were like Bloody Mary. And then when we actually heard this girlfriend snippet, which eventually surfaced online a few days later after the weekend, it sounded very fake too. That was just super weird. Like, everything about this era, pre-era, I should say, has just been super strange. A lot of things that should connect don't seem to connect in a way that you would want them to.
Right. And even with the girlfriend snippet, all we really hear is, I could be your girlfriend for the week. And then it just cuts off. Like, we don't even know if she says week or weekend.
Yep.
It just cuts off.
Yeah, and the bit rate is so low too that you can't even hear anything. Like, it sounds like trash. The audio is just so bad.
Right.
But it also is apparently real, because people who have been posting the snippet on Twitter and on YouTube, some members of Gaga Daily and our own Discord server included, have been getting takedown requests at the notice of UMG.
Right. And that leads into on June 14th. So about a week after this snippet kind of started circulating, there was a Gaga Daily user named Hello Hangovers, and he inadvertently discovered the title of the song from which this snippet may come from. And that's because he emailed YouTube support when he got the UMG takedown request. And in the response from YouTube, at the very bottom of the email, it said Lady Gaga, Garden of Eden.
Mm-hmm. Which mirrors the same thing that happened with the Stupid Love leak in January 2020, right, where people who uploaded the song, like the leak that we had at the time, received a notice from UMG that said something like, Lady Gaga, Stupid Love.
Right. And so that lends credence to the hypothesis that this is actually legitimate.
And it's interesting now, because we're kind of where we're at this point in time. We're left with this whole entire Garden of Eden / girlfriend snippet, which may or also may not be Dance in the Shadow. Some people insiders, which I'm going to say with double quotations or bunny fingers on my hands here, they've been saying that they are the same song, but then there's also a few saying no, they're completely different songs. And then some are even saying that Garden of Eden is the title of the album.
Well, I don't think they're the same song, because if Garden of Eden and the Dance in the Shadow snippet are in different keys, and they're not only in different keys, but they're not in keys that easily modulate to each other.
Mm-hmm.
If they were only a fourth or a fifth apart, sorry everyone who's not a musician, if they were only like a fourth or a fifth apart, or only a semitone or something, that would be a little more suspicious. But they're like, 4.5 tones apart, which is really weird. So personally, I don't think they're the same song. But of course, I'm perfectly willing to be proven wrong about that.
Yeah, and even when I slowed the song down, like at first listen, it sounds somewhat like Gaga, but slightly higher pitch. which just confuses me more because when people are saying this is very real and it does not sound real at all, it just, yeah, it makes your brain go into confusion mode.
Right. If I remember right, when I tried to figure out the key of the Garden of Eden snippet, it was something like B minor or B flat minor or something, if I remember right. And if you pitch that down 2 semitones, that is the relative major of F minor, which is what the the Dance in the Shadow snippet is. So in that way, it could work if I'm remembering which way relative major and minor work. That's not actually my job. But if I'm remembering correctly, that could possibly mean that they're the same song. But so far, I don't know.
Yeah, it's too hard to say, especially with the snippets are only a few seconds at most, and the girlfriend one / Garden of Eden one is so low quality, it's hard to distinguish anything really, to even formulate anything.
Right.
And that also brings me to another interesting update on this, which actually happened this morning, today on June 18th. So after waking up, I logged in Discord, and one of our users, she uploaded the girlfriend snippet, I believe, if I'm not wrong there, and she received a takedown request from UMG. But this time, the request said Lady Gaga girlfriend.
Right.
So that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. Do you figure one of those might be a placeholder title?
Right. I believe because the snippet of Garden of Eden, in air quotes, came out and the only part of it is essentially girlfriend, and that's the way that people were referring to it, it would make sense if Gaga's team caught wind of it that they would quickly kind of put in like a fake cover name in there that matches what people are referring to it as.
Yeah, that could make sense. They're kind of maybe purposefully trying to throw us off the Garden of Eden trail in a sense.
Well, too late for that.
Yeah, no, I'm running with it. And I mean, and there's so many other kind of fan theories that have been popping up too that kind of fit with the Garden of Eden thing, like the whole entire biblical reference theory with going back to even February with the in the vault guarded by the Japanese Oni / what people might use it for, the devil emoji. Right. Also her kind of making a symbol of like Jesus on the cross, but also could be reminiscent of a bat. So like there's a lot of things that could make sense. It's just we don't know how to connect them completely yet.
Right, but even like with religious themes or with bat themes, this all kind of does look dark, which we were discussing earlier, which is what the fans have been thirsting for quite a while.
Yeah, so now here we are at June 18th. And looking at the time, it is 10 o'clock Central Time on my end, and there's no announcement from Gaga. So what do we do now?
Well, we keep on being members of the House of Delusion, and we keep hoping and praying each day for a surprise drop on an unorthodox day until it's finally released.
That's really all we can do at this point. I mean, I feel like we've suffered long enough, but I do have faith in Gaga's team, and I do have faith that she knows what she's doing.
Right, absolutely.
She's coming off of a very successful tour, coming in hot to a very big blockbuster film, and she's also coming off an album that basically disappointed her plan-wise month after month during the COVID times. So I think she probably really wants to push herself forward.
Yes.
Even if it is a short promo cycle for the album, I feel like she's going to go all out.
Right, so I think we should explain that a little bit. So the Joker Folie à Deux movie is coming out soon in the movie world. And the promotion for the film starts as much as a month to month and a half before the film starts. So that's going to be quite soon as of the date of recording.
The 28th of August, if I recall correctly. Sorry for interrupting you there.
No, sorry. And so it's going to come soon. And so if Gaga were to start an album cycle now for LG7, that's not a lot of time for a full era, so to speak, in pop fan terms. Mm-hmm. And so I personally am a little hesitant to say that LG7 is going to be like this huge, big era that's supposed to replace, the expectations that Gaga had put into the Chromatica era before it was all shut down due to COVID. The timing is kind of suspicious on the negative end, especially because starting tomorrow, as of the date of recording, The jazz and piano shows are starting back up again in Las Vegas. And it doesn't look positive if you're using your rational brain. But we're not using our rational brains about it. This is the House of Delusion. Why would we do that?
Exactly. Yeah, I firmly believe the single's coming this Friday still. So
I believe the single's coming yesterday.
I've already heard the single.
Well, you've heard Katie's single, unfortunately.
Oh, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, let's not.
We'll get canceled if we say any more about Katie's newest single.
Right. I think that would be so intelligent of us.
She's a strong woman. I'll tell her that.
So soft and so strong.
Oh, Katie, we love you, girl. We love you so much. But yeah, honestly, that makes me more excited for Gaga too. Like, this has been a very return to traditional pop girl music that we all love and remember and reminisce and feel nostalgic for from 10, 15 years ago. But so far, it's been pretty lackluster. Well, to some of us anyway.
I don't think that's fair because we always expect like solid news, solid news, solid news. Another promo, another interview, bus, train, plane, no sleep.
Yeah. And that's why we're all feeling disappointed with all of these pop music releases this past year is because, well, the whole entire music landscape has changed. The whole entire thing is spreading your first single and second single and album out months and months apart is a thing of the past.
Right, because of TikTok
Yep.
and Instagram and all those other Gen Z apps.
Yeah, which I'm okay with because, I mean, I'm a pretty impatient person and I like getting things quicker. But at the same time, it does kind of ruin a little bit of the fun hype, and we got to know things a lot earlier back in the day.
But Bloody Mary did get its time in the sun for the general public, for better or for worse, because of that.
And became, I would say, pretty much a moderate hit in terms of Gaga's catalog now, too.
Right, I believe it was number 99 on the Billboard year-end Hot 100 last year, which isn't great, but at least it's in the top 100 songs all year.
To be fair, most of its popularity happened in November and December of 2022 as well.
Right.
So, yeah, no, Bloody Mary was good. And I personally feel that she noticed that and she's taking some of those elements and inspiration from Bloody Mary and the experience that the world has had with the song and hopefully incorporating that into the upcoming album.
Right. Yeah, and at the time of recording this first episode, Judas is popping off on TikTok.
It's constantly hitting its new daily peak day after day, it seems.
Right. And so the Gaga songs that are regaining popularity on most of the apps that people use to find music are the dark bops, so to speak.
Her dark bops have always been popular. Like, actually, a lot of songs from Born This Way, to be exact. Like Government Hooker was another one too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think that was a year or two ago. I don't remember. Yeah, there's a few other Gaga songs. I don't use TikTok as much as most people, but I do sometimes, and I'll find a Gaga song that pops up. I'm like, hey, I know her. It's my mom.
It's your mom.
Yeah.
And some of her darker and more sinister songs do have religious themes, like Bloody Mary and Judas.
Pair made in heaven, honestly. Gaga, darkness, and religious imagery.
It's the Catholic guilt.
The Catholic guilt, yeah.
I've been Italian with Catholic guilt since I was 13.
I've been a Catholic since I was 13.
Not before that. She wasn't raised Catholic, but when she turned 13, she said, you know what? I don't want to be Episcopalian. I want to be Catholic.
It's when she got baptized. Anyways, enough about Gaga's religion.
Well, confirmation is around that time.
Yeah.
So technically, yeah, I guess.
That's what, yeah, I went through all that too. I don't remember one bit because I did not care, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where we're at today. As of this date, June 18th, we are at Potential Garden of Eden being a song, Potential Girlfriend being the same song, and Dancing in the Shadow potentially being the same song. So 3 songs that could be one.
Could be one. Yeah, we don't really know. So basically, we know nothing. Yay.
Literally nothing yet. Basically, we're just getting pieces of the puzzle that are just kind of scattered, so they don't actually help us.
Right. We're just getting this podcast started before the real, news train gets started, and we're just trying to keep track of what we could possibly hope to see.
Mm-hmm. So before we end off this episode here, do you have anything you want to mention today here?
Nothing specifically. I mean, we've been doing a diligent job of refusing to talk about incredibly fake rumors, although I could mention one, which is that going around Twitter was a supposed draft album cover concept of a woman laying down with demons surrounding her. And I do want to say that that's fake. It is actually a work by San Francisco-based artist Lilia Rattari, or Rattari. I don't know how to say your name. If you're listening, I'm sorry. But we are crediting you appropriately. And it's not related to Lady Gaga in any way, unless, of course, you have been hired by Lady Gaga, in which case, congratulations, girl. Work.
Incredible. But on that note, I think this was a good first start. And for those of you who are still here, thank you so much for listening. You've bared with us through this mess. Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
But tune in to another unannounced date in the future when we decide to upload another episode where we will hopefully be talking about the lead single post-release.
Or more horrible, non-intuitive hints, which is more likely.
Yeah, the most likely thing is that we're going to be probably seeing you here after the 21st when there's no lead single, and it's going to be us expressing more delusions into our convoluted fantasy of wanting Gaga music.
Well, what else would you expect from the House of Delusion, am I right?
Yep, that's what we are. Delusional. Anyways, again, thanks for listening, and Cal, say goodbye to our friends.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Join us next time on another What You Packing. No, just kidding.
Bye, everyone.
Yep, honk, honk.
Hey guys, we want to hear from you, so come chat with us. You can express your own delusions in our Discord server. Just go to www.discord.xyz/House of Delulu. That's spelled HAUSOFDELULU. Anyway, we'll see you soon, and thanks for listening.